prepare as a seller in a seller's market? That sounds kind of strange, doesn't it? Single-family homes are moving extremely quickly. Most are going under contract between 2 and 7 days, depending on if there's an offer deadline or they're accepting the first offer that comes in. So what do you mean? What do I mean when I say how to prepare as a seller in a seller's market? It's an interesting question because what we keep saying in the industry is inventory is really low. And a lot of agents keep saying, you need to list your house. Inventory is low. I can get you top dollar for your house because inventory is low. But what we're not addressing potentially is why is inventory so low? Certainly it's partially because of the pandemic and people don't want to move, but there's something else. And the reason that inventory is so low is this. I'm Sherry Ann Green with Coldwell Banker. Welcome to my YouTube channel that guides home sellers and home buyers in Washington, D.C. and Northern Virginia. So we're in a seller's market. Inventory is extremely low. That's a fact. When a house goes on the market, especially a single family home, if it is in great condition, even good condition, and it's priced well, buyers are showing up in droves. I had an agent this past week say to me, I went to this open house and it was like a Beyonce concert. There were that many buyers there to see the house. And why? Because there are a lot of people who still want to move and a lot of people who still need to move, yet inventory is low. But the question really is why? Why is inventory so low? Why are there so few homes on the market? It is obviously partially related to the pandemic. There were a lot of people who were reluctant to move while we were navigating this new experience of masks and gloves and hand sanitizer and staying away from people. But there's something else to that. Why are sellers reluctant to sell when all of those things are happening? Why are sellers reluctant to sell when multiple offers are happening, when contingencies are being removed from contracts, when offers are escalating $100,000 and more when we get into those escalations and multiple offer situations? Why are sellers reluctant to sell? It's likely because of this. If a seller is methodical and watching the process and looking at what's happening, they know that once they sell, they have to be a buyer. Ding, ding, ding. And where do they go? What do they do? And how do they navigate this crazy buyer pool? That's the problem we need to solve today, is making a seller comfortable enough to put their home on the market, solving their problem of how do they be a buyer and compete in what is happening. So in a seller's market, as a seller, you actually have to prepare first to be a buyer. There are several different ways that you can prepare as a seller to make sure you're set up for success in a seller's market when you're going to turn around and be a buyer in that same market. So let's talk about some strategies that you as a seller want to do to be prepared to be a buyer at the other end of your transaction. The first thing you need to do is talk to your lender. Talk to a couple of lenders. You want to see what your options are. Here are a couple of ideas to talk to your lender about. Do you need to use the equity in the home that you have to take out a line of credit to use as a down payment or a deposit? Do you have the option of doing a bridge loan? If your home is going to sell very quickly, a bridge loan could be a product that is helpful to you in the process. Do you have the option to carry 2 mortgages at once? Many people do and they just don't realize it. Another option is, do you have the ability to buy your new home in cash and then refinance later? All of these are great options that you want to discuss at length with your lender to see what options are best for your situation and your circumstances. If you are going to be using a mortgage, the very first thing you want to do is get completely pre-underwritten. This goes further than a pre-qualification and a pre-approval letter in that your lender takes you all the way through that underwriting process. When you find the house that you love and you're under contract, the only thing the underwriter is doing at the 11th hour is getting that house through the underwriting process with the appraisal, if one is needed, and through all of the different parts of the underwriting of the home. You, as the buyer, can go into a contract being pre-underwritten. Now, why is this helpful? Number one, it can give you a great peace of mind that you know you will qualify for this loan. Number two, it might bring up the option for you to waive an appraisal or waive your financing contingency. Those are two things, though, you need to talk to your lender about. You want them to feel comfortable about you not including those contingencies, and you want to feel comfortable too. The third thing that being pre-underwritten can help with is that your contract to close period, your period of time in escrow could be shorter. If there's someone who hasn't gone through this process, they may need 30 days for their lender to get finished, to get them to the closing table. If you are pre-underwritten, you may only need 21 days, and a week of time can be a benefit to the seller that you are purchasing from. So step number one, talk about your options and get pre-underwritten with your lender. So we've solved the financing problem, but you sell your house, it sells really quickly. Where on earth are you going to go? And I think that probably is the biggest question for most people who are on the fence about selling. Where is it that you are going to go? My home is going to sell quickly, so now what? Where do I go? There are a couple of options that I want you to think about that could work to your benefit in this situation. First, look at Airbnb and VRBO options. There could be many in your town that are available because people aren't traveling as much right now. So you might be able to get a great deal on a short-term lease at an Airbnb or a VRBO situation. The other option to think about is simply renting for 6 months. Find something that is suitable that will make do for 6 months while you search for your new house. It'll give you plenty of time to look, write offers, go under contract, close, and even do the things that you may want to do for your new home. Maybe you're going to paint or change out some cabinetry or some tile work, but if you've got a 6-month lease that you can feel comfortable in, then you've got time to look, to make offers, to go under contract, and close on your new home without having to worry about where you are living. The other thing to do is talk to your mover. There are lots of options that they may be able to offer you for packing up the majority of your contents once, putting them in a climate-controlled storage, and then pulling them out and delivering to your new home. This will save you moving out of your home, into the rental, out of the rental, and into your new home. If you can move once and only take the necessities that you need to your Airbnb or your rental, it could be a more financially beneficial option, and it could be an easier option if you are only packing and moving once. The other thing you might consider is what's called a post-settlement occupancy agreement. So with the buyer that is purchasing your house, you may be able to work out a post-settlement occupancy agreement, which means that you can stay in your current home anywhere from 2 weeks to up to 60 days. Usually with a post-settlement occupancy agreement, you'll have a deposit that is held by the title company, and you might be charged what's called a rent back fee. In a post-settlement occupancy agreement, you and the buyer of your home come to terms with how many days you can stay in the house once you have closed on that home, on that sale. Now, what this does is allows you time to look for the home. You could negotiate anywhere from a week to up to 60 days of time in your current home after you have closed. Now, why is this great? Number one, you close and you have the money that you need to purchase your new home. Number two, it gives you time to look for that new house without having to move into that rental. It could even give you enough time to find the rental that you want if you're going to need even more time than those 60 days. Now, why do I say 60 days? That is because the buyer, if they are purchasing this home as their primary residence, needs to move into that house. They need to take possession of that house within 60 days to satisfy their loan. So unfortunately, it may not be an option where you can do 3 months or 4 months, but 0 to 60 days is usually a great option and gives you some breathing room to finish packing, to find a rental, or maybe already find the home you're going to move into. So as a potential seller who is nervous about jumping into selling their house because you know you have to turn around and be a buyer, you need to watch this video next. We've talked today about how to get you as a seller prepared. The extension to that is this. How do you now take the initial ideas I've given you and make a competitive offer as a buyer in a seller's market? Watch this one next.